Everyone. We're live on Facebook and we'll get the webinar started here in just a little bit. It's a few minutes yet if you want to go grab somebody. As you can see, it's dark here in my truck. You know, I got orange on, not because of Halloween. It's hunting season. It's a tradition in North Dakota. And, you know, my dad, he's 83 this year, so he doesn't hunt with me anymore. And my kids are pretty much all out of state, and so they're not hunting with me today. I'm just out here by myself. So, welcome to the call, Carmel, Chris, Diana, Leslie, Marilyn, Paul, and whoever else is there that I can't see. But we're just waiting for Aaron. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Like I was saying earlier. If you want to see what I'm doing, I'll show you. I'm sitting out there by myself. It's pitch black outside. You can see a little bit of the corn on the ground there. But, yeah, that's a cornfield. If you're familiar with corn, it's lots of fun. You can pop it. You can eat it off the cob. You can have cream style corn. All sorts of things to do with corn. But like I said, I'm out hunting today. It's deer hunting season here in North Dakota. So, Aloha, welcome to the call. Just waiting for Aaron to join us. He should be here pretty quickly, and then we'll get this call started. Like I said, if it looks a little bit dark in here, it's because I'm out in the middle of a cornfield, and I'm hunting deer. So I know you guys in Australia aren't all for hunting and all of that, but see if I can make these lighting. That's worse. All right, so we'll do that. Let me see what I can get as far as lighting in here. No, that's about the best lighting I'll get. So we're just waiting for Aaron Rennert to join us. Aaron, I asked him to talk about goals. We're getting toward the end of the year and start of the new year, and you know what the new year brings. When there's a new year, we all have goals set. I've already started working on mine. I started working on it a week ago. I've lost 8 pounds in a week, and I'm excited about that. Excited about it. What's your goals? What's your goals? You see, maybe I can unmute everybody. Let's see here. Hey, Katie, welcome to the call. Carmel, what have I been doing? Well, I started going with a keto diet. I've been strict on it. I've actually been doing a keto diet for a while. And I'm just being a little bit more strict on following the program. So, let's see here. Oh. Yeah, it's not going to let me unmute everybody at once. So, we got 2 more minutes, and Aaron will join us. Hey, Rula, welcome to the call. Katie, welcome to the call. Julie, welcome to the call. Welcome, everyone. For those of you that have just joined us, you probably noticed it's a little dark in here. I'm in my truck, and it's not a beam of light coming down from the heavens or anything like that. That's my dome light. I don't know if I shut it off, then it's pretty dark. So, uh, yeah, I can't shade it out. That's it. And so I'm out here, and just proves that you can have fun and work at the same time. I'm out enjoying myself and having some fun out here. Those of you that are on Facebook and you've joined us, welcome to the call. It's pitch black outside. It's 6 o'clock p.m. here in North Dakota, and Aaron will be with us shortly. Hey, Bob, welcome to the call. Welcome to all of you. Sally, welcome to the call. Waiting for Aaron to join us. I'm watching for Aaron. I haven't gotten any message from him that he's not going to be here, so we're live on Facebook as well. And so for those of you that are on Facebook, those of you that have just joined us, my name is Dr. Fisnick, and I'm the host of this call. Every fortnight, I guess, is what you guys call it down in Australia, but to me, it's every other week, every other Friday. And I'm out in the middle of a cornfield by myself. It's pitch black out here. And it's kind of like being in the outback, except that there's a house over there, about a mile away. There's a house over there, about a half mile away. So we are. There's Aaron. Hang on.
Hi, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm out in the middle of a cornfield.
Well, good for you. We're all mobile, aren't we?
It's not children of the corn. It's herd of the corn.
Yeah. Let me throw my headphones in.
Okay. Can you hear me all right without headphones?
Yep, I can hear you perfect. Yep, perfect.
All right. Welcome to the call, Aaron. I was just, I've been on here for about the last 10 minutes. It's pitch black out here where I'm at. You can see here, I'll show you. This is where I'm at. Right?
It's beautiful.
Typical cornfield in the middle of the night.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing all day and just kind of proving to everybody that, what I really like about one of the things I really like about this industry is that, back when I had my clinic, yes, I had my own business. It was great, but I really wasn't my own boss, right? I had 5,000 bosses that told me I needed to be at work at 7:30 in the morning and I couldn't leave until 7 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. I worked from 9 till noon on Saturdays. I rarely took a vacation. It's probably why I ended up getting divorced, because all I did was work, work all the time. Became kind of dull, but I got into network marketing, this industry that we're in right now. And what I really love about it is I get to do fun things and call it work. It's pretty cool, isn't it? You can work and play at the same time. Even at the corporate, wouldn't you say that you get to kind of work and play at the same time? You don't have to just sit in that office. You can actually travel. You've been to Europe, you've been to Japan, you've been to Australia, you've been to Russia, and you get to call it work.
Yeah, it's still, I think it still becomes work. But work is what you make of it. And I think that's part of the process, is trying to identify the things that you enjoy doing and the areas that you can be a part of something, especially in this industry, in this business. It definitely gives you the opportunity to work with people that you enjoy and that you want to be around and that you want to learn from and educate and learn and grow and all those wonderful things, which is part of what we're going to talk about tonight, but or this morning for whoever's on from other parts of the world. But it is absolutely true. There's so many different things that we get to do on a daily basis and interact with people that are really brilliant people. I mean, in every way, shape, and form, if you look for that type of person and what's good in that type of person and the people that you deal with, it is a lot of fun to get to know different people, personalities, walks of life, different parts of the world. I mean, I've been to places that I couldn't even pronounce prior to going there. Tom Senior would say, "Oh, I want you to jump on a plane and fly over to Azerbaijan," and I'd say, uh, I'm not positive where that is, but I'll go wherever you tell me to go. Or Georgia, the country, not the state, or Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, or some of these areas that were just outside of the norm. But you meet people, and everybody's fairly like-minded. You meet these individuals that are all looking for really the same thing that we are. It's just a matter of how they get there from point A to point B. It's just a different scenario for a lot of people. So you're right. It can be really, really rewarding and fun, but it's really what you make of it.
Yeah. I was having this talk with one of my kids the other day. I said, most people in their 20s, they go out and get a job and they work from 9 to 5 every day, day in, day out, day in, day out. And they have this dream. They have this dream of this, all these things they're going to do. They're going to be these vacations and this big house and all these fancy things that they were going to do. But by the time they reach the age of 40, they realize they haven't reached any of their goals. And a lot of times it's really because they get caught up in the rat race. Their credit card debt is so high, their mortgage payment, their car payment, their insurance payments, all these other things have caught up to them in a way that really they can't afford to quit their job anymore. It's, I used to call it the golden handcuffs, right? I mean, you can't afford to quit what you're doing, because how do you afford the lifestyle that you've already built? So therefore now you're stuck. You're stuck. And and in today's world with the economy, and not getting political, just the economy of the world. I don't think it's just the United States. The economy of the world is that a family with the husband and wife, they both got to have a job in order to make ends meet, and in a lot of times one of the two of them has to have a second job.
Mm.
And I talk to people a lot of times and they say, "Oh, I'm not any good at sales. I'm not like you. I can't do network marketing because I just can't do sales, and I don't think I'd like to do that," they tell me. And I tell them, I say, "Well, do you like being a greeter at Walmart?" You know, because that's what their second job is, or serving coffee at Starbucks or whatever it happens to be. And I said, "Do you like that? You're never going to head, even with that third job that you have, you're never going to get ahead." So, anyhow, Aaron, I got into this conversation, but, um, you know, folks, for all of you that are on the call, the other night I was talking, I chatting with Aaron on messaging, and I said, could you talk about goals? Because here we are in less than 7 weeks. It's 2021.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, as I put together some thoughts, because we've got a newsletter coming out that specifically addresses this, and so it's interesting. As you and I were chatting the other day, there are just maybe some basic factors that we can hit on today. I know we like to try to keep these calls to about 30 minutes, and I love that. I think it's a perfect timeline. But one of the things that's interesting is that if you really look at goals, we tend to set goals once a year. And it is very apparent for a lot of people that they set their goal. Unfortunately, US News and World Report did a big study on it, and they said that the average person um, 80% of the people that set goals for the new year, New Year's resolutions, about 80% of those people by February, the second week in February, had already dropped all their goals. And it wasn't even some of them. It was that they just completely threw them out the window and quit looking at them and quit focusing on them and quit doing what they needed to do. And I think that unfortunately we all kind of go through some of those conversations internally with ourselves, that we get ready for this new year. We get excited about this new year coming up. And what does that mean? It's, a new year means a new you. It means a new opportunity. It means a new chance to take steps and go in a new direction. And I think, though, what happens is that we get excited. And as we get towards the end of this year, let's say 2020, we'll go into December and we'll start looking at, okay, so what do we want to accomplish in the year 2021? And I know that for most of us, me included, 2021, I'm very excited to close out the chapter of 2020. It's been a rough year. There's been a lot of things that have happened that obviously have been really difficult. And, from our side, with Tom Sr.'s passing, that was a monumental strike on our world. It was one that I still think about. I was in his office today. We haven't cleaned it out. Was running through and looking at a couple of things and trying to get things ready, because now, as you know, Doc Fizz, that he had a gigantic office, and so we're actually going to move some people around. So I was just meeting with our facilities person and getting ready to move the furniture out and move some new furniture in. And I think I'm going to take marketing creative down that direction and give them kind of their own space and collaboration space and all that good stuff. But my hope is that when we look at going into this new year, that we are really truly looking at it from the perspective of what do we need to do to change what we did last year, meaning, of course, 2020, maybe the year before, and what changes do we want to put in place for 2021, and what goals do we want to put in place, and what are those New Year's resolutions, and then what are we going to do to really get focused on them. And I think what happens is that if in mid-February a lot of those goals and resolutions are thrown out the window, I think that it's tough, because unfortunately we look at it from the perspective of I'm doing this for myself, or I'm doing this for myself and my significant other, I'm doing this for myself and my family, and or those people that I care about. And in this industry, it's a situation where we do it for everybody. You're sitting there in the middle of a cornfield, literally in the middle of probably somewhat nowhere, doing what you love doing, but at the same time you stop because you want to make sure that you're taking care of the people that rely on you, and that have that respect, that they want to be on this call, on this Zoom call, to make sure that they're seeing and hearing from you directly. And I think that's part of what we see, is that in this industry, we can't do it alone. It's impossible to have success alone. It's impossible for us to do anything without having the support of others. And so there are a lot of people that come together. I mentioned this on the last time I was on your call, that there are a lot of people that come together and they really look for the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And I had talked about the fact that 119.9 million people were involved in network marketing in the year 2019. And if you think about those numbers, I had mentioned that 60 million of those people, so literally a teeny bit more than half of those people, are just in it because they love being a part of something bigger. They want the products at a discount, or they just love the products. And so we know they're not financially motivated. They're not necessarily interested in doing the business. They just want to be a part of something bigger. And this is not necessarily customers. These are people that are going to meetings. These are people that are looking for an outlet, looking for an opportunity to get to know others, looking for a chance to share thoughts and ideas and suggestions with people that are thinking kind of the same way they are. And so that's really what I think from that standpoint, is that that's where we now are at in our life cycle, if you will, of what we're trying to accomplish as a company, and as what we're trying to hopefully help others accomplish, is just success in their life and the things that they're doing. And so when I look at this year, I think about there's a great article that was written where they were talking about doing some things, really trying to figure out what it was that they wanted to put together for the new year. What resolutions did they want to put together? And so I think it was Time Magazine back in 2012 that wrote this article, and they were saying, here are the things that top 10 things that people want to accomplish and what they're looking for as they go forward. And so there were certain things, and we all know the basics that are out there. I mean, of course, you've got lose weight, get fit, quit smoking, learn something new, eat healthier, and diet, get out of debt, save money, spend more time with your family, travel to new places, be less stressed, volunteer, drink less. So those are the top 10 things that people are looking for. But what's the common theme that everybody can recognize in those resolutions that people put down on paper and submitted, obviously back in 2012, but I don't think they really changed any, which is why I used an older article. But in 2012, doesn't matter if it's 2020, we all are kind of looking for the same thing. But the common theme here is that there's no actionable items behind those resolutions. There's nothing that ties it to anything. There's nothing specific to the goal. There's nothing to measure your progress. There's nothing to help you define what you need to do, when you need to do it, to know that you've done it. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is that how do you know? It's the old saying, if you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you get to your destination? You really don't. And it's impossible for a lot of people to really understand that. But the bottom line is, you don't know. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know that you've gotten there. You don't know when you've achieved what it is that you've expected to achieve, if you haven't taken the time to really put some action behind your resolutions or your goals. And I think that's part of the thing that I really look at, is that with specificity or with purpose, with real intent, we can get to our goals. We can get to those measurable amounts of defined progress, as we try to figure out how do we get from point A to B to C to D, and obviously all the way down to Z, because ultimately those goals have a Z that's associated with it. And you might skip through a lot of those letters in between the Z and the A, but your bottom line is, how do you get from point A to B, C, D, E, F, G, et cetera? And I think that's part of what it makes it, at least in my opinion, it makes it difficult for people to understand that they don't know how to get there. And so I think what I really want to maybe hopefully give some thoughts on today, is you've got to make your goals more measurable and place a deadline on them. You can't necessarily just say, I want to eat better and get fit. It just doesn't have any impetus behind the goal. You've got to have something that becomes measurable, and something that becomes a deadline, and something that becomes something that you can hit or achieve. But you also can't be devastated by failure to achieve them. You can't be intimidated by that failure to achieve them. You have to be confident that you can achieve them, and you go after it like you know you're going to achieve it. But it doesn't mean that things don't come in your way. I mean, I had all kinds of great goals for 2020, and gosh, a lot of things happened this year that made it really impossible to hit some of those goals. So I sit back and feel defeated and use that self-defeat to literally bury my head and say, geez, okay, I've just failed completely? Absolutely not. I've got to retool. What they call, the common word now is pivot. I've got to make some decisions. But one thing that I really want each of you to think about is, you have to revisit those goals often. So many times we have so many people that will go out, they'll set these goals, they'll really, put some things up on the board, they'll get excited about them, and then literally they'll go for a full year without looking at those goals again. Well, the only way that you're going to really accomplish those goals is if you're spending time, the necessary amount of time, to really look at the goals that you're looking to accomplish this year. And at least weekly, in my opinion, you should thumb back through your goals. At least weekly, you should do some annotation and really start to look at, how are you doing against your goal setting measurables, and how's the timeline looking, and how are you doing as far as tracking your progress, because a lot of us do not track progress on our goals. A lot of us accept the fact that we have these goals that we're out there trying to work towards, things that maybe objectives that we're trying to put in place. But the bottom line is, if we forget to go in and measure against those goals, we'll never know how close we are to achieving them, what else needs to be done to get there. And then really putting, again, that with specificity, the timeline associated with it. So for a lot of people, they'll say, yeah, I want to lose weight, I want to drink less, I want to smoke less, I want to do this, or I want to quit smoking, I want to do whatever it is that I want to do over the course of the year. But one thing I can tell you is that there are some things that you can do that will give you a little bit of a driving force behind your actionable items. And so when I talk about it, you're really looking at losing weight and getting fit. Well, what does that mean? So it's easy to say it, but what are the actionable items behind it that you really need to look at? And so I would define it even better. I would say things like I'll walk 30 minutes 5 times a week. Okay. And then you can measure that progress, and you set your clock, you walk outside, you go for 30 minutes, and then you mark it down, achieved. Now it's great to achieve it. And maybe you got 15 minutes, and maybe you want to add 15 minutes onto your next day's walk or the day after's walk. But you can hit those numbers, because ultimately you can say, over the course of a week, I want to have, 2.5 hours of walking time. Well, that's again a measurable goal that you can achieve. Or maybe it's, I want to go to a soul cycle class 3 times a week. And again, soul cycle may not be the thought, but that's just an easy example of maybe a spin class. I want to hire a trainer at a gym and go there 4 times a week. And again, by making a commitment financially, traditionally you're going to go. And that is one thing that we know. Skin in the game always helps achieve any type of goal that you're getting into. Or maybe it's, I want to get on a meal plan, and I want to actually look at putting that meal plan in place and trying to get to a point where I'm actually putting, my diet down and my information and my goals, and starting to work towards those goals, whether it be a portion of your weight loss, whether it be a portion of your diet, whether it be a portion of getting fit. What types of foods do you need to put in your system to get fit, and all that good stuff. I mean, it could be even as simple as saying, I want to drink one sizzling shake a day as a meal replacement. Well, great. Then add that into your regimen, and then mark it off. Hey, I've done this every single day. I've put one scoop down. I've got my 30-day supply. I know I can get through this. And I used to tell people, if you're mixing your sizzling shake with water, I can guarantee you one thing: it takes about maybe 50 seconds to whip that thing up. From the time you open up the bag, take the scoop out, put it in a glass of water, use a fork, stir it up, and then drink it. So I used to tell people, take time during your lunch hour to drink your sizzling shake. Number one, you'll save a bunch of money every day when you look at the amount of money that you're currently spending on lunches out. And then if you think about the next step, is that you've just spent about 60 seconds, 1 minute of your lunch break. If you've got an hour like most people do, well, guess what? You've got 59 more minutes that you can go out and walk. Do a brisk walk and add that into your day-to-day regimen. And I guarantee what will happen, we do it here at the office. We have a lot of people that will go out and walk once or twice a day, and people jump out and hop in with them. And, there might be 10 or 15 people walking. Sometimes there's three, or sometimes there's even just one. But they'll get out and they'll spend the time when they can to just get fresh air, a little bit of sunshine, and some good oxygen, and then they'll be able to feel a little bit better. So, we can do other things, registering for a 5K race and saying, I want to do it by March 31st of 2021. Just putting real specific designated goals in there, with some type of actionable item attached to it, gives you the reason to go out and do it. And I think that's part of, what we need to help people understand, is that there is something actionable that has to happen behind that. Again, quitting smoking. Maybe I need to pick up a new habit. Maybe I need to pick up a different habit, like having a lollipop with me all the time, and making sure that I have something that, creates that same type of physical relationship to a cigarette. But then maybe it's a lollipop. Maybe I need to go out and buy some Nicorette gum, or whatever it may be in certain lands, or a nicotine patch. Or maybe I need to find some exercise that I can do, and instead of taking a smoke break, I go for a 10-minute walk briskly. Whatever it might be, those are the things that create action behind what you're trying to accomplish. And then, when we think about it, there are a lot of people that say, well, I want to learn something new this year. Well, what is it that you want to learn? And what is it that you think you can do to learn something? And so I, often tell people, do you want a ballroom dance? Is there something that you want to do that you can pay for a class, that you can go to a class, and that you can go to it once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week? And maybe there's a little dance competition that you can enroll yourself in. And hey, we're all human. Everybody thinks that they have to be perfect to go into some of these competitions. But you know what? If you walked a 5K instead of ran a 5K, so what? If you walked it backwards, if you you know held hands with your significant other and moseyed along down the path, whatever it is, but being able to do that is great. Maybe pay for guitar lessons, and maybe there's a certain song that you put in your mind that I really want to learn how to play this one song. Well, then set a date to play it by, so that you have an actionable date and a time that you are depending on yourself to hit that timeline. Again, because a lot of people just say, well, I want to do certain things and I want to do it by the end of this next year. Well, that's not good enough, not anymore. And it's not going to help you achieve the goals that you're trying to get to. So again, I kind of think about it from that standpoint, even when people say get out of debt or save money. For a lot of people, they don't go through the time to analyze their debt. So they don't look at their credit cards and then really analyze each credit card. Well, how much is my interest on each credit card? Well, once you actually look at the interest rate, then it will give you a very strong feeling of which one you want to pay off first, because that would be the one that you tackle, is the one that's the highest interest rate. If it's 19% per annum, probably tackle that one first and get it out of your wallet and make sure that you're not spending any more money on it, and then so much money each month to getting rid of that debt. But again, you have to take a calculator out. You might have to do a little bit of simple math, adding, subtracting, times, multiples, etc. But once you understand that, you can get through some of that stuff. And again, I say that because you want to put a date to those as well. I want to have that credit card paid off by March 31st, 2021, and then you put it on your piece of paper and you say that's going to be part of my goal. And then you become extremely firm and disciplined in your approach to taking care of that issue. And again, for a lot of people, they just don't understand it. They don't want to take the time to deal with it. They're unwilling to put 5% away per check, 5% per month. 10% per month would be a great number for you to put away in your savings account. But I think that's part of it, is that you you really have that opportunity. I apologize, my phone's blown up, but you really have that opportunity to do the things that you need to do in order for you to achieve or accomplish that which you set out to accomplish. And so there are a lot of people, I used to, in sales, I used to do a few things with my salespeople over the years. And one of the things that we did one year was an Everest ascent. Now, it wasn't physically that we flew to Mount Everest and then stopped at base camp and camp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. We didn't do that. What we did was we created a board, and we used that board to measure our successes along the way to get to the summit. And so when you think about that summit and you think about what it takes to get there, you're really looking at a way that you can actually measure your progress. And that's what we started doing. And you had different prizes that we put together. Well, reward yourself when you start climbing your Mount Everest, whatever that Mount Everest is, and give yourself the opportunity to be rewarded and to feel like you've accomplished something, and to give yourself that pat on the back and the accolades when you do something great. But what you don't want to do is be self-defeating and say, boy, I wish I would have done better with this or that or the other. I mean, even down to the point where I mentioned earlier that the top 10 things that people put in Time magazine back in 2012, spending more time with your family. But what is spending more time with your family? And what does that constitute? And whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you have a significant other, whether you're a single parent, whatever that may be, but what can you do to spend more time with your family? I even think about it for myself. I've got aging parents, and I know that they're getting to a point where, I mean, I hate to say it, but they are 80. My dad's 80. My mom's 82. And I know they won't be around forever. So, what can I do to spend more time with them? Well, I have my 3 calls a week that I do with them. I know that sounds horrible to think about it that way, but I have to physically think about it because I'm busy. And so I think, okay, so I need to make sure that I touch base with them or check in on them at least 3 times a week. I try to see them at least once a week. And that's something that I've put in play, and have said, I just need to do that, because I don't want to get to a point where they are gone and I wish that I could have spent more time with them. And that's one thing that you have to think about, is that it's not as easy to say just spend more time with your family. Why don't you pick some activities and say at least once a week we're going to do one activity as a family? And what would that activity look like? Could it be bowling? Could it be miniature golf? Could it be a trip to the zoo, to a park, a playground, et cetera, depending on the age of the kids? Whatever it is that you think that you need to do to give yourself, again, something measurable and something accountable, that's the key. I thought about it as well. One thing that helps people, especially nowadays, giving yourself an opportunity to have a home cooked meal. So what does that mean? Well, if you stay in and you really sit around a table and you really have conversation and you really say, hey, put the phones away, you can't have them at the table. We have in our house, my daughter, when she was younger, either 11 or 12, she actually built a phone box. And I say built, uh, color, taped and colored and put wrapping paper on a shoebox. And we had to put our phones inside that box when we sat down to eat dinner. And that was her thing. I don't know if she learned it from school or where she learned it, but the fact is that we still try to maintain that same focus for our meals, is to put our phones away, and nobody can be on their phones while we sit down and have a meal. Well, that seems elementary in ways. Obviously, when we were kids, my parents would say you can't answer the phone during dinner because we didn't have cell phones back then, and so it was, if the phone rang, you didn't get it. It just either maybe went to voicemail if you had voicemail, maybe went to an answering machine when we had technology for that, or maybe it just rang and rang and rang, and then finally people hung up and said, I guess I'll call back later, or whatever the case may be. And then when you got caller ID, maybe you could call them back. But again, those were parts of the plan. And so I think that we have to think about it a little bit more deliberate than what we've thought about it in the past. We have to give ourselves a little bit more time, and we have to think about it with a little bit more uh, of an emphatic nature. We have to really be intent. And I think that's part of the problem, is that it makes it difficult to do that. I mean, even if you say travel to new places, but what are we really trying to accomplish when we say, I want to travel to new places? Where? When? How are you going to get there? What do you have to do to get there? Is it a drive? Is it a flight? Is it a train? Is it a time that you've got to take time off of work? I mean, I even have written down in the past, go visit national parks here in America. Well, so what national parks are within, say, 5 hours of me? Well, I can hit Yellowstone, I can hit Yosemite, I can hit Zion, I can hit Arches, I can hit Canyonlands, I can hit all these different spots. Yosemite's a little further, by the way, but I can hit these spots, and I know that I can get there, and I know I can have fun and be able to see some sites that I've never seen before, experience a park. Maybe it's Paris. I want to go to Paris and I want to go with my family. What does it take to get there? What date do I want to set? Buy your airline tickets, book your hotel. Make sure you're doing all of that so that you make a commitment to yourself and make a commitment financially to do the things that you want to do, so that you can actually go out and do them. And again, I think it just becomes one of those things that we can do, that a lot of people don't understand, that there's an easy way to do these things, and there's an easy way to put some emphasis behind what we're trying to accomplish. But don't be afraid, again, to put something out there that's lofty. Don't be afraid to put an income goal out there that says, hey, I want to achieve X this year. And then you have to really put a plan in place. But one of the biggest things that I think that we need to do, that a lot of people don't realize, is that we need to create accountability to somebody else. And it's not easy to open up your kimono, if you will, and really have a discussion and talk about the things that you want to accomplish with people that you may not know as well, or with people that you may not trust as much. But trust the process, and give as much information as you feel comfortable giving, but have that person create the accountability side of it for you. Because when you're responsible to give somebody information, it creates accountability. And when you're accountable, it makes it a little bit easier for you to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Because I think for a lot of people, they're scared. Again, failure is a big giant piece out there, that is almost paralyzing for many people, and they're not sure exactly how to get past that. So I want you to think about it from this perspective. What do we need to do in order for us to get to a point where we are really truly taking an opportunity for 2021 to sit down and analyze, where are we at today? What have we accomplished this year, past years? And where do we want to be by the end of 2021? And what physical steps do we need to take to get there? I mean, I said to you, Doc Fizz, the other day, where's my business? That's an easy question to ask yourself. And if we just jump right back to this relationship of Sisel, why we're on this call today, and looking at it from the perspective of me as a individual, that I'm interested in trying to do certain things myself. What is it that I need to do to get to that point this year where I know that I've accomplished what it is that I set out to accomplish? And that's what you have to sit down. And then if you sit with somebody, I could go sit with Tom Jr. today. I used to do it with Tom Sr. but I would go sit with Tom Jr. today. I will, as I get a little closer to the end of the year, and I'll tell him, Tom, this is what I expect to accomplish in business, and this is what I expect to accomplish in personal. And then he may give me his ideas back as well. And then we can keep each other accountable. Hey, how you doing with that? How are you doing with your meals with your family? How are you doing with the activities with your family? How are you doing about getting out of debt? Have you identified the cards that you need to pay off? Which card is it? How much was the interest rate? How many payments do you have left? How much money can you put towards it every month? And that becomes the accountability relationship that I think a lot of us are missing, because we write down our goals and then we forget about this wonderful thing that I've been screaming about for years and years and years, which is called your vision or your dream board. What I would recommend is tie your goals to visualization, because when you visualize what it is that you're trying to accomplish, it allows you to have an opportunity to really truly take into consideration those things that you see, that you visualize with your mind's eye, and you have an opportunity to kind of bring them back and start to look at, how is it that I can take this and learn and grow and understand what I'm trying to accomplish this coming year. And then the envisage of almost a rationalization, like, how am I going to get there, and what do I need to do to get there? And so if you look at it from the perspective of, I want to get out of debt, well, then put some things up on your board that actually look like credit cards and stuff. It doesn't have to be a great big house and a boat and a car and a trip to the mountains or a trip to the beach. It can be other things that are part of that elementary piece of what you expect to accomplish, and take that and put it up on your board. And don't be afraid of it. I mean, a lot of people get nervous and they think, well, I don't want to have anybody see my vision board if I've got debt. Everybody has debt. I mean, there are very few people out there that don't have any debt, but it's okay. I mean, everybody has a credit card. If you travel, you need to have something that gives you the ability to go into a hotel or get on an airplane or whatever it may be, and you call it your security fund. But whatever it is, there are those pieces that you can do that if you get disciplined with, you can make a change, and you can make a great change. What I hope that each of you hopefully will do. And of course, we'll get a little bit further into this over the next couple of weeks, because we will get very specific on setting goals and putting out some information, because I really want that to be a highlight of the coming year. What change can we make in our lives? What change can we make in our people's lives? What change can we help them achieve? Because each of us are change agents. We've kind of coined that phrase over the last number of years. It's become a little bit more of a conversational piece. But what is a change agent? Well, it's really helping others, not only yourself, but others change as well. And so it's an opportunity that as you go through this process and as you take the time to change, you'll have other people changing with you. And there's nothing more gratifying, nothing more satisfying than seeing somebody's life change. And whether it's, again, whether it's the relationship of health or wealth or happiness. I mean, I actually put in one of my comments that I was making internally to a couple of things that we were working on the other day, I actually said, it's our ultimate pursuit of it's it, sorry guys, it's our ultimate pursuit of happiness. What are we trying to accomplish? And my happiness, what I would consider to be my definitions or defining moment of happiness, may be completely different than your definition of happiness. My life is different than your life, and I have different needs and different things that I want to accomplish. You have different things, different needs, different items, different objectives that you want to accomplish. But together, all of us running in the same direction, we can get there. We have a great opportunity to really take that next step. And that's really where I'm at today, is that I want to see people really take a step back from their business, take a step back from their health, and really analyze where you're at today. And then what is it that you expect to accomplish as you go forward into 2021? Again, I almost look at 2020 as a year that has just been a little murky. It's been a little muddy. And so as a result, I'm looking forward to kind of a crystal clear lens that'll take me into 2021. Where do I need to go? What do I need to accomplish? What am I looking to accomplish? How do I get there? And how do I help others get there as well? And that's really part of, again, a life of abundance, is that you can take people and give them that opportunity. You can show them, but again, we have to be able to open our mouths and have that conversation. But I hope that what you'll take from this conversation today is that it's time to get very, very intent with real purpose and real defining moments. Understand what it is that you expect to accomplish this year, Really put it down on paper, but start working on it today. Start working on it today to start preparing for the 2021. I'll give you an idea. We are doing our budgets for 2021 right now. Well, we started a month ago because we know that we need time to really understand and define and strategize and have meetings and talk about, countries and expansion and or not expansion, products, new products, old products, whatever it is. But we really have to truly understand it. Now we also have the wild card. We don't know if we're going to be able to travel this year. We don't know where we're going to, I meaning 2021. We don't know if we're going to be able to hop on a plane and fly to certain places and not have issues getting off a plane and maybe going into quarantine, et cetera. And so I really think that we as a group, as a team right here, this team that we're talking with today, that we as a team really embrace each other, help with accountability, help create responsibility to those actionable items that we've created, and really determine how it is that we're going to get to that next level, because we can do it together. Again, like I said in the very first part of this conversation, the one thing I can tell you, you can't do this business alone. There are a lot of people on the call today. And as a result, we know that all these people are coming together because it's a social relationship to getting together with people that are like minded, that are interested in the same successful venture that you're currently involved in. Now we've got to go help other people understand what it is that we're doing and help them really take that next step towards the same type of opportunity. But you can do it. You can do it with each other, and you can do it by embracing each other and giving everybody the same opportunity. So, with that being said, I hope that each of you will just take a few minutes, even tonight, today, tomorrow, over the weekend, and really just jot down some thoughts, ideas, and notes, and start to give yourself a little bit of a roadmap and outline some of the things that you expect to do in 2021, and then start to define those, and then what you need to do to put some actionable, measurable pieces to those goals so that you can go out and actually see, hey, how am I doing against those goals? So, Doc, back to you.
Thanks for jumping on and sharing that information, sharing all of that. I tell people you're one of my favorite speakers because you don't have to. It's like you've got all this in your head. You don't have to sit there and think about it. It just comes out so naturally. Thank you.
Well, I'll admit though, my shirt was throwing me off a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see the disco nature of this shirt, but anyways,
Yeah. But goal setting is so important. Goal setting is so important. I learned it, and one of the things that I do is every day I wake up and the first thought that goes through my head is, what can I do today to make it so I can reach this goal? What can I do today when I sit down to eat lunch? I'm trying to lose weight, and so I sit down. I go, what can I do during my meal today to make it so that I lose weight? you know and so I find that it helps me because so many people are, including myself. I used to be too harsh on myself when I'd set this goal. Today I'm going to do this, and then when I wouldn't get it done, I got to where I wouldn't set goals anymore. So now instead of saying today I'm going to get this done, I say to myself, what can I do to reach that goal, to get closer to that goal? And your brain is funny. It's wired up to solve problems. You solve riddles. And so when you think that way, so what do you think of that idea?
well, I think again, it's that intention. I mean, every morning when you wake up and you have that intention to go do something that brings you a little closer to your objective, it's right on. And that's why I said, I mean, a lot of us write their goals down, and a lot of families, especially, couples will get together and they'll put together their New Year's resolutions, and they'll put them down on, let's say, December 31st, January 1st, whatever day, and they'll really focus on, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do all these wonderful things. And then a year goes by, and then they sit down again December 31st or January 1st, and they map out their resolutions again for the year, but they forget about those two fundamental pieces. One, remembering what those goals are and those resolutions every day to see how you're measuring up against them. And then two, the biggest part of it is drag a visualization piece to that same goal. Again, if you want to get fit and exercise and do some of that, throw up a couple of photos of people that are fit, that have kind of that body, whether it's a little more muscle, a little less muscle, a little skinnier, a little bit more weight, whatever it might be that your needs are. You just go out and do it. But again, put that visualization board up so that you can actually see it. That's the key.
That's right. That's right. Well, Aaron, I appreciate you being on, and And, you know, have a wonderful month, and say hey to everybody over there at corporate for us.
I will for sure. And everybody out there, thank you for being on, and again for all of your work, your hard work, your efforts, and for especially for Australia. I will say that very quickly. I know that Tom Jr. has been involved in a couple of conversations with you guys. He and I spend a lot of time talking about it. Really, a lot of time trying to determine some ways that we can solve some of those problems. Like Doc Fizz said, Kurt said it best. You know, you've got this wonderful brain that is absolutely very, very, very specific on trying to solve problems. And so that's Tom Jr. and I right now. You know, we're literally working daily and meeting with different companies and trying to identify the best way to get product to you guys and the cheapest way possible and the currencies and all that kind of stuff. So don't think that we've forgotten about it, especially if you're in Australia, New Zealand. We are focused on it, committed and passionate about it. So, anyways, I'll throw that back to you, Doc.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight, and for all of you that are listening to the recording. For those of you that are on Facebook and watching us, thanks for joining us. And get back to the person that sent you this, and thank them. Let them know that you appreciate the fact that they're thinking about you, and I know Aaron's there to help you out if you've got a goal and you just want to talk to somebody. Aaron's there to help you out. I'm here to help you out. All of the leaders, no matter if it's cross line, up line, down line, kitty corner, we're all here to help.
Right
Right on.
on.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.